By this point in the goal setting series, we've done a lot of big picture thinking. We've reflected on the past, clarified the direction we want to head in, and set goals that actually reflect our whole lives, not just one small slice of them. But goals on paper don't mean much if you don't have a way to interact with them day to day. That's where trackers and systems come in. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how I'm putting my planning system together, how I'm using trackers to support my goals without feeling overwhelmed, and how I'm intentionally designing this system to focus on progress and wins instead of what didn't get done. This isn't about tracking everything perfectly. It's about creating a setup that helps you notice forward movement, even in a messy, very real life. So here's my planner for 2026. I'm going to go ahead and write my name in. If you haven't seen the Franken Planner setup, I will link that down below. Today, we'll be filling in those sections that are related to my goals and just making sure that I'm staying on track for the quarter and the year ahead. The tabs that we'll be focusing on today are the trackers, routines, goals, and long term. And I'm going to work from back to front so I can talk through how I started with long-term goals and broke those down to get to tracking my successes. So in 2023 and the start of 2024, I was looking at all areas of my life and I was feeling like I wasn't getting enough done because I wasn't getting everything done in every area of my life. So I thought that it would be better to narrow that down and only focus on 3 areas at a time. And although that did work for a while because I really did need to narrow that focus in order to get a lot of work done on very specific goals, I feel like I'm back at a stage in my life where I really need to pay attention to all the areas of my life again. I was able to come to this realization as I was just journaling and thinking about what I did want to focus on this quarter and this year and beyond. And that is where these long-term goals came from. In my last video, I then took these long-term goals and broke them down into this quarter's goals. And that playlist will be linked down below as well. But I did go ahead and take those long-term goals and break them down into goals for this quarter. And I did all of that in my goals journal. However, I am going to print out a copy of those so that I can keep them in my planner as well. The areas that I have goals for include making all the plans, which is this YouTube channel, health and wellness, home, friends and family, financial, personal growth and joy, and professional. I am only able to punch 2 to 3 sheets of paper at a time since most of this will be printed on 32-pound paper. Not everything in my planner gets printed on such high quality paper, but anything that I plan on keeping in my planner for more than a quarter gets put on this heavier paper. And even though this is just for quarter one, I will probably keep all 4 quarters in my planner as I go throughout the year. The other thing that I like to keep a copy of in my planner is my vision board. So even though I've created a vision board in my goals journal, I'm also going to do a version of that using very similar or the same images in my planner so that I can look at it on a weekly and daily basis. I'm also going to include my word of the year, which is enough. So one side of the page will be the word of the year, and the other side will be my vision board. So I just grabbed a piece of craft paper. I reprinted the images that I used for my vision board in my goals journal. And then I have a bunch of scraps that are left over from decorating the cover of my Hobonichi cousin. Then I've also printed out a few things around my word of the year. I do plan on laminating this page when I'm done with it, so I am going to trim it down to 8 by 10.5 so that when I laminate it, I can leave 1/4 inch around the whole layout. Some things I have learned are not to make the decorations too thick, so don't do a lot of layering on the page. I've also learned not to use my friction pins because the heat from the laminator makes the ink disappear. So whatever you wrote with a friction pen or a friction highlighter disappears and it looks like there was never anything there. I do debate whether or not I'm going to mix and match my vision board and my word of the year, so I do play around with things for a little bit before I get started, but I do end up deciding to put my vision board on one side and my word of the year on the other. If you're not interested in watching this part, please go ahead and skip ahead, but I'm just going to go ahead and put my vision board together. If you missed the first video in this series where I talked about reflection and setting my vision for the year and years ahead, I will link that playlist down below. However, the feeling that I want to feel when I'm looking at this vision board and as I'm achieving goals, I want to be surrounded by calm and peacefulness and be able to channel my energy into the places that actually deserve it. So, all of those routines and resets, I'm really trying to conserve as much energy as I can by making those things automatic and then putting that energy into those things that really matter and will move the needle. Moving on to my word of the year, my word for 2026 is enough. And not only am I enough, I've also had enough. I'm done striving, proving, over explaining, and pushing past my limits. I'm no longer trying to earn rest, peace, or worthiness. I am choosing what sustains me, not what drains me. I show up as I am, I do what I can, and I stop when it's time. It's enough. I don't need to prove anything. I don't need to fix everything. I don't need to keep pushing past my limits. I am already sufficient as I am. I am enough. But as I've talked to other people about their word of the year and how they are feeling and what needs to change in their lives as well, we're all feeling similar feelings. But I've had enough of the pressure to do it all. I've had enough of the perfectionism disguised as productivity. I've had enough of comparison and second guessing. I've had enough overcommitting. I've had enough carrying things that aren't mine. And I've had enough guilt for resting or choosing ease. So this year, I'm choosing sustainable routines, progress without punishment, rest without justification, consistency over intensity, presence over performance, and a life that feels calm, capable, and livable. If you have a word for 2026, I'd love to know what it is. If you want to leave it down below in the comments, as well as why you chose that word, because a lot of words have multiple meanings and mean something different to each person. I will also stamp the year on a piece of paper and put it on the spread as well. And then I'm going to get my laminator out and laminate this page. So let me finish this up and then we'll get to the lamination. Now I'll go ahead and get my laminator out. Don't be fooled by the video editing, but it probably takes close to a half an hour for my laminator to warm up. And I didn't think about plugging it in early, so I did just kind of walk away for a few minutes and let this warm up. I will go ahead and get the laminating sheet out and get my page set inside of that, so that's ready to go as well. So I did cut my page down to 8 by 10.5 so that when I put it in the laminating sheet, I can have 1/4 of an inch all the way around and have that final page size be 8.5 by 11. You can have a little bit of an edge sticking out if that's what you prefer. You just have to plan ahead for that. So I'm making sure that I have at least 1/4 of an inch on each side of the page so that the lamination seals all the way. Once I get my page situated in the laminating sheet and my laminator gets all the way warmed up, I will run this through 3 times. I always run it through twice. I usually flip it or turn it so that I get the heat spread throughout. You may not need to do this, but I have had issues sometimes with the edges not sealing all the way, and I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's because it's not getting hot enough, if it's too old, if it's going to break soon. There could be 100 reasons, but I just go ahead and run it through twice. It still didn't seem like one of the edges was sealed all the way, so I do end up running it through 3 times. But I'm also guessing that not all laminators are created the same. So as I mentioned, I personally did not want any overhang, so I did go ahead and cut this down to 8.5 by 11. The thing that I'm noticing now is that I did not round the corners, and I will definitely come back in and do that because I hate getting poked with the corners of a laminated page. So the 2 corners that face out, not the part that are in by the discs, those will go ahead and get rounded. Once I get this trimmed down, I will get my hole punch out and punch this. I am afraid that someday I will break my punch by doing this, but I really have to push hard to get through the laminated page. But I'm also too lazy to do the one punch at a time, so hopefully I don't break my punch. So for now, this will live in the goals section. I do tend to move it around as I feel like it. I like it to be in a spot where it catches my eye a lot, and I feel like if I move it around, it's more likely to catch my eye. Hopefully that makes sense. Next up are my routines and resets, and we did go ahead and put these together in another video. Again, the whole playlist will be linked down below, but I did make another copy of my task blocks, so I will go ahead and start by putting that in my routines and resets section. Unfortunately, I don't always have my goals journal with me but I always have my planner with me. So it's good to keep a copy of these things in my planner as well as references. The reason why I don't keep the whole goals journal in my planner is because I don't want my planner to be that thick. And I like to have all my goals bundled together in one spot at the end of the year. So that's also why I am moving my review and reflection of each month and quarter back to my goals journal. So here are my routines and reset pages. How I want this to be laid out is my routines and reset will be on the outside pages. And then when you open up the spread, that will be where everything has an assigned time slot. And I do tape these pages together, but I don't go crazy with the tape in case I end up needing to change one of the pages. That way I don't have to start all over again. I can just pull the pages apart and replace the one page that needs replaced. So in my routines and reset page, I start with my time blocks, then I go into my routines, then into the section where it defines where each routine and reset is completed, and then I finish it up with the rest of the resets. So last but not least, let's look at the trackers. I am going to work from back to front, and anything towards the front are things that I expect to touch more frequently. Anything towards the back of the section will be treated more as a monthly check-in. I start with a book tracker. This is from Passion Planner and it is a free printable on their website, but the books are on the front and then there is just a lined list on the back. Next up is my health tracker. I might move over last year's health tracker or I might just start fresh. I'm kind of ready to turn the page and just forget about everything that's happened health-wise and start new this year. All of these stats either come from my scale or from my Apple Watch. Then I'm going to throw in the 500-mile tracker, and I'm calling this a running log, but really it could be running, walking, jogging. I'm probably going to do the Couch to 5K program again this year, but also my goal is to be able to get outside and do longer runs. Then I have my yearly tracker where for each day that I close the rings on my Apple Watch, I will go ahead and color in one of the boxes for the month. Then I'll put in a sheet for making all the plan stats. And when I get to the actual end of this year, I will move the making all the plans trackers from the last 2 years over to the section so that I can watch for trends. Then I have what I'm going to call my Sunday check-in. And this is where I'm just going to check in and see how I've done with each of my goal areas for the week. And if I am not perfect, that is not the goal here. The goal is to make progress wherever possible. The best case scenario would be if I made a little bit of progress in all 7 goal areas. However, if I don't, I'm not going to beat myself up. Progress over perfection. So last year I did a 25 in 2025, and I do plan on doing a 26 in 2026 this year. And I will be tracking creating scrapbooking pages, reading books, and taking adventures, just like I did last year, even though I did not create a single scrapbooking page. I do like to use my creativity within my planner, so I am going to go ahead and stamp this page out. Instead of making it in Word, Excel, Photoshop, or one of those programs, I am going to take the time and actually stamp this page. So I'm going to stamp 26 circles, and then I will get out my letters and I will stamp the section headers. As much as I would like to hand create every single page in my planner, that just is not practical for me, especially because I tend to change things up throughout the year. And I would hate to spend a ton of time laying out all these pages and then decide to track things a different way. I will leave the back of this sheet blank so that I can write down the adventures that I do take. I tend to lose track of which ones I have counted, so it's always good for me to have a place to track those adventures. But for now, those are the trackers that I am starting 2026 out with. We'll see if I need to add more or change up the Sunday check in at all. But at the end of the day, this planning system isn't about being rigid or checking every box. It's about giving myself visibility so I can see what I'm actually doing, what's working, and where I'm showing up, even when life feels full. Trackers for me aren't about pressure, they're about proof. Proof that progress is happening, that effort counts, and that wins, big or small, deserve to be acknowledged. If you take anything from this video, I hope it's this. Your planning system should support you, not shame you. It should help you notice your wins, adjust when needed, and keep moving forward with intention. If this video was helpful, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and tell me which tracker or system you're most excited to use this year. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss future planning and reset videos. Thank you so much for planning alongside of me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.